You're not the only one who's changed. I've become the devil.
Well, that's a very Nietzschean remark if I've ever heard one. Yes, after being a character from the beginning of the Guilty Gear franchise, that man, or Asuka R is finally playable. And with him is such a profound theme. So, like with my Ramlethal video, we are going to give a brief overview of the character before we get into the analysis. Again, Asuka R, or that man, or simply known as the Gear Maker, is the person who made the gears to give the name of the Guilty Gear franchise. Gears are basically scientifically altered people, or even artificially grown people, that have, well, special powers. But that alone isn't the reason why he was the villain. He initiated the Crusades, which caused a lot of people to die, and he even took away the main character's sole bad guy, or, as he once was, Frederick Bolsara's wife away from him, to turn her into justice. And yeah, he's still not happy about that.
It's grown this much already, so that is your karma. Still, I'm delighted. Just as I thought, you're only thinking of me.
However, all these actions don't seem to be just for some evil purpose. He, like many other villains, intends for something good. And in a way, he resigned himself to understanding that he would have to be evil to ultimately enact some good in the world. However, in Guilty Gear Strive, when he convenes the world leaders and tells them that all of his crimes weren't actually his crimes, well, you see some of his repentance of what he has actually done. Now he just wants to make world peace in a pretty chill way. And sending people to the moon. Alright, I think that's good for now. On to the theme. Alright, now that we've talked about a little bit about that man, we should talk about just some ground rules again. I'm so happy that y'all liked the Ramlethal video, and I'm so happy that Cloud Drop finally released his lyrics video of The Gravity. It is far more accurate to the song from a translation that I've seen. So, really, again, ground rules one last time. So I'm saying ground rules so many times. I am not trained in musical theory. I am a trained singer, though I haven't sang since high school. I haven't been trained since high school. I still sing, like, for fun. But I'm here primarily to talk about the philosophy of this and not as much the character, though we'll talk about the character, because this guy is a precious, precious character. Alright, without further ado, let's get to The Gravity. So you hear right here that there is, musically, again, I'm not the music guy. I love video game music, but you hear that the sound's a little like, oh, he's evil, right? Like we've talked about, again, he starts off, he's like the main bad guy of the whole series. So it's nice that we get a little bit of intimidating, but we'll see that the rest of this theme ain't that intimidating. It's actually kind of pretty chill, as we know that man gets to be pretty chill. So, as the trailer shows, he is praying for the accumulation of goodwill, or of us. So we have a very religiously shown character. A little bit of an aside, that if I ever talk about this in a more proper way, Asuka R, which is his full name of that man, is a reference to Christian Rosenkreutz, the founder of Rosicrucianism, which was a hermetic, occult, Christian mystic sect, which is why you sort of see the Christian Science vibe going on with him. Though how much Rosicrucianism relates to any of the philosophy of this song, I am not really certain. I've looked it up a little bit, but when we get to probably dissecting him further, if we ever do, I'll talk a lot more about Rosicrucianism. But let's continue. All things as they are. This is an existentialist song. All things as they are is a reference to, as we were talking about a little with Ramlethal, how things actually are out in the world. Not some Schopenhauerian notion that things are actually under the surface have this different essence. They're different in this some way. No, all things as they are. I can scientifically look at the world and say, hey, this atom is this atom, and this is this, and this is that. And basically, all things as they are is the world is out there as it's seen. Nothing grander about that, which is basically a big part of this song, is just the world is as you think it is. But all because the world is as you think it is doesn't mean that doesn't mean it's beautiful. I think the world is beautiful just as it is right now. Evil shall read all future rights? So we clearly see that this guy is, oh yeah, so we're building up so far, this character's a bad guy, right? Evil is going to solve all our issues. But that's kind of the point. If we think about this in the context of Friedrich Nietzsche's philosophy, that in a sense, that the necessity of the antidote to society is some sort of evil. And Asuka, in his means of giving good to the world, has to actually act in a way that is seen to be evil, and in many ways actually is pretty evil. But in reality, he's wants what is right, and ends up in Strive acting finally better, like on the right side. So fundamentally, evil shall read all future rights. Evil shall be the ones. The world shall fundamentally be at the hands of the devil, as Asuka calls himself, which is again funny with all his Christian theming. So let's continue. Innocence lied to just to spare them. This is, I think, far more plot relevant. That, oh, that man is doing all these bad stuff, but he's just going to, in the end, spare people, right? He's just going to spare them in the end because, like, oh, I did all this bad stuff, but eventually I actually just wanted to do it as an act to spare you guys. Which is kind of funny. But also possibly saying that innocents are lied to from the notion of the of the Christian church. Saying, oh, the innocents are lied to, but we'll spare them and we'll keep them subservient over this actions of cruelty. That's, oh, because they are now the slaves and they are now under us, therefore we live in a world that is fundamentally cruel because of them desiring to be helped. Even though Asuka wants to help everyone, he wants to make world peace now. So, and he wants to send people to the moon. So clearly, he does want to do it. So there's some sort of inner turmoil is going on with Asuka, right? About clearly stuff that he has done in the past. And this inner judgment about how he's going to go in his future is seen right here. So let's continue. As if a divine truth seeker. So this is clearly saying, but Asuka, in his divine garb, is the divine truth seeker that comes out and says, hey, I am the one telling you how to do all these great things, right? But let's look at the next lyric.
A divine truth seeker.
So as if I'm a divine truth seeker, comes out and tells you all these things that the church tells you, oh, you got to act this certain way. But again, Asuka is sort of in this inner turmoil because he's sort of maybe legislated a lot of these things in the past. But he's also, in the sense, the Antichrist. He is Nietzsche's Antichrist. He is the devil that is giving liberation to humankind. So he is actually the Zarathustrian figure that's giving people and telling them how to be liberated. Though he still does it primarily through the things that Nietzsche doesn't like as much as high rationality and science, which is sort of where Happy Chaos who just goes to pure irrationality or just disillusionment with the world, is a counter to that. Find it something unseen. We're just talking about general notions of philosophy right here. When I think about, and Socrates said he knew nothing. He thought that, hey, one day I'm going to, through keep on pondering the existence of reality, I will fundamentally know nothing. And that is the task of philosophy, is to garner this notion of truth. But when you get to something that is more existentialist, is what is unseen truly ever even there? Is there anything in the first place? Sartre says that there is really no essence at all to existence. There's just our actions, and that's it. And that goes, as we'll see, that the reflection on Asuka's actions is what is going on here, is behind this very philosophical diatribe. But also the something unseen, when I find it's this is the Jungian task of when I look into myself, which is he's doing. He's looking into himself and saying, what is the shadow? What is the part of myself that has been repressed? What is unseen in me? Play back to history, answers we flee. Now we have history. Actually, here we have the task of history. Historians like to say, when you take history class, we learn history so we don't repeat it. But if we look at history through a historical lens, through a philosophical lens, if we look at the different ages at which philosophy has progressed, we can find the answers in that. And if we think about in a Jungian way, that Jung and many others want us to look back at the past to fundamentally find answers, parts of ourselves that have been lost. And I think, and back to Asuka, there are parts of himself that have been maybe lost, parts that he has gained, but ultimately, though there have been parts of himself that he's gained, he's happy where he has gone, in a sense, though he still feels in shame and guilt about what he has done. Do I need to comment? Well, of course I'm going to comment, but does existence have... This is not just existential. Nietzsche, other people, those people weren't the first people to ask the meaning of existence, but the thing is that the meaning of existence was first, God tells me to do this, then this God tells me to do this, then this God tells me to do this, then this God, or then this reformation of God and reason, God and science. And then when we get to Nietzsche and Sartre, and the atheist existentialists, there is no more meaning. Science, which, again, Asuka's a scientist, has basically overhauled all meaning. Everything can be explained now through scientifically. So what is the meaning? What is the essence? That's why Sartre says there is no essence. It's just our actions. That's it. So does existence have a meaning? Does Asuka's existence, that now he has fully rationalized everything and found the tome of origin as the answers to all of our problems, does that do anything? Now except he's found the tome of origin, and he wants to get rid of it. Do you have the answers? And are the answers really something that we want to hold on to? Sometimes there's some beauty in uncertainty about not knowing, which goes back to the Socratic truth of that. But so what is the reality of truth? Nietzsche would say that the truth that you think you know is not really there at all. that all these philosophers that have these great philosophical ideas, they were all acting emotionally. You can't really trust what they're saying. You can't really trust how people act, these high-minded. That's why Nietzsche is the Antichrist. So what is the truth? And the truth behind Asuka and his actions and how Happy Chaos comes in gets the truth. If we get to Persona 4, the truth is very complicated. Things are not fundamentally how they seem. So you got to dig deeper, and the task of our own self-contemplation and how there's sort of this synchronicity, this intertwining with our own inner contemplation with the outer contemplation of the world and what's happening. Obviously, one person's reflection can't do that. Socrates, many other philosophers renounce themselves from worldly affairs. Socrates hated politics, like he said in his apology before he gets executed. I did politics. I didn't care for it. I just like being a vagabond out there. So what is the reality of truth? Science says it has the answers, and the philosophers say maybe science doesn't have the answers. So who has the answers?
The reality of a truth. What should we accept?
Not going to get political, but today's political landscape, that's been a pretty spicy topic. What facts should we accept? But I'm not going to go anything further with that. But basically, what facts should we accept? Because the difference between, there's facts and then there's philosophy and there's the ethics. What facts should we accept that of our existence? I think about the facts behind a question of human nature, which I think comes up in these songs about, are we good or are we bad? What is human nature? What are humans fundamentally social? Are other animals fundamentally social? What about it? What facts should we accept? How should we think about it? The facts, if there are out, could fundamentally guide us, or is there something more than just the facts?
Reality of truth.
Reality of truth. Reality. There's just reality out there. It's fundamentally what is real. There's something beyond just the reality of truth. There's just reality itself that we can fundamentally look at with science and say, hey, that's cool. But is it really there? I don't know. Some people say they do. Some people don't say they do. These wings. This is... So Nietzsche in Zarathustra compares himself to a tree. He says that, there's this highest tree that goes so high to the top of the sky and so down to the bottom of the earth, which is in a way connecting us to our both divinity and our animality and our maybe even demonic nature. That Asuka is in a way trying to free himself. What wings do we have? What freedom do we have? And Sartre would say, without God, that's the only way we can have freedom. But even when we lose God, it's a sad experience. It's a sad experience. And Nietzsche fundamentally wants to be the free spirit, wants your wings. Jung wants you to individuate and gain those wings. And he's got a nicer picture about what happens when you get those wings. So that's why, which goes closer to Nietzsche. So that's why.
As the universe turned black, did the sun ever defy fate?
Did the sun ever defy fate? This is saying, so we live in a world we understand the laws of physics. Has the sun ever defy fate? Has the sun ever done a different thing than it was supposed to do? No. Therefore, everything can be explained by the laws of physics. Therefore, you'll see. The universe has nothing more than no soul, nothing of that. Nothing. None of it. There you go. Gravity. This is the law of the universe. Gravity is there. Gravity. No God, just gravity. This is a reference to Sartre. In Being in Nothingness, Jean-Paul Sartre talks about the notion of recognition and being recognized by another person. Also gets connected to being recognized by God if he's there, and how we're fundamentally distant from God if he's there at all. That's why we need to be free and just say God doesn't exist. Beyond it all, do you recognize me? Do you see me as a person? This comes into Martin Buber's philosophy. A lot of notions of recognition of this notion of the other. And the thing with that man is that originally his name is again always that man or gear maker. And even in Schrei's story, he's usually referred to as gear maker, not as himself, because he himself has sort of objectified his existence in a sense. So you haven't allowed him to be recognized. And the funny thing is that the default thing with Asuka R sharp or whatever it is a clone. So he's sort of kind of allowed you to not recognize him because you're not actually fighting him. You're just fighting a clone of himself. Because you can actually play as him as well. But so all these people are looking at him and seeing what he thinks, and he's being seen as this evil person because that's who he's sort of said, that's who I have to be. But then he's objectified. How can we fundamentally become mutually at this intersubjective nature between us? How can we connect?
Does meaning have meaning?
When I first heard this song, this is the only lyric I could understand. Yeah, does meaning have meaning? Sartre and Nietzsche, both would say, fundamentally, what you think has meaning doesn't necessarily maybe have meaning. Meaning is what you make of it. There's no set thing that is meaning. It is your goal to find yourself and individuate, as Jung would say. Best lyric in the song. I love it. Now we got some evil sounding again. Now it's going back to being evil. Okay. Okay, now we're going finally. There's mostly guitar and we're definitely the church theme, but finally we sort of hear the techno idea, like Asuka's identity as a scientist is revealed, like with the gear sounds. It's more like an engine sound that you sort of hear in Tager's themes, Motorhead in Blaze Blue. That sound can be heard. I think in a little bit in Sector 7, the track Sector 7 as well, but definitely Motorhead. The Blaze Blue series also made by Arc System Works. Yeah, let's continue. I'm glad they at least incorporated a little bit. I kind of wish it had a little bit even more techno sounds, but at least the fact that they had a little bit of techno, well, to show this other identity as opposed to just Mr. Posh person, is great. Now he means business. Now we're done with it. Now, but we did some crafting, and now we mean business. All right, time to explain the eternal recurrence. Nietzsche says in Zarathustra and others that to approach life, we must approach it in a way that it is fundamentally always cyclical and unchanging. So the beginning and the end are fundamentally all the same. There's a nicer way to sort of think about this notion of the eternal recurrence, that if things are fundamentally the same, then if I act playfully, if I act as an actor, and I say that I enjoy every moment that is both good and bad, that is fundamentally this eternal desire for meaning. If I approach things playfully, if I approach things as if there's no tomorrow, if I fundamentally live in the notion and enjoy today, isn't that nice? Nietzsche praises this sort of notion of animal forgetfulness. Now, animals, we know animals don't actually all just forget. Animals can have some memory. But this notion of constantly living in the present. And I think Asuka is trying to start to realize how he needs to live in the present, how we need to get rid of the tome of origin, which is the past. And which is the past and the future. No, when we live in the past and the future, there will be actually no tomorrow. We need to constantly live in the present. Now, not saying live in the present is always good. If we live in the presentism is also just an idea of saying modern, and that's not good. We want to hold back to the past, but when we hold back to the past, we look at our history and we find the answers and we live and enjoy this moment right here, right now. Now, I think this is obviously whose side is that man on? Is he evil? Is he good? And that's also, again, sides. That when there's good and evil, there are sides. When we get rid of good and evil and we have Nietzsche's paradise, there will be no more sides. Everyone will love each other. Will it be egalitarian? No, everyone will be themselves. There will still be nobility. There will be no democracy, which I'm not condoning. But we need to get beyond that. We need to get beyond this notion of that idea. So whose side are you on? Are you evil? Are you good? Who knows? I got so much influence, but I'm a wanted criminal. Look at me. What have I done with my life? Still like this? No. This is the emphasis, a little acting though, a little performance. No, as if a diva. Again, I'm not a rock singer. I'm a singer. I'm not a rock singer. As if a divine true seeker. Like that idea. Like, if you put the emphasis on as, that's clearly a note that needs to be emphasized. So, as, he's not actually a divine truth seeker. He's as a divine truth seeker. Arise. Therefore, that means that as if in this moment, I am this Messiah figure. Am I the Messiah? Am I the devil? Who knows? Who really cares? Truth seeker and rising. Talked about arises again. He's as if this figure of whoever he is comes out and is going to do good things and go on his world peace project and all of that, basically. This riff is great. Again, not a master of rock knowledge, it's a great riff. I think we sort of hear, if I attempt to act like Marco Meatball for a second, I would say you hear this sort of rock, this resolve in himself coming. And you hear a little bit of the gears in there's like, you know what? I got this stuff together. I have the answers. I've contemplated and I've done all this bad stuff, but here I am. I got this now. So let's see if what he learns from all this. So again, I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna find what's unseen. What is the answer to our world problems? What is the answer to the child soldiers, to poverty, to hunger? How can I find that? Is there an answer at all, or is it just hopeless? Is our situation, is our future hopeless? Plays like the history, answers within. So maybe, let's say, I did something wrong when I started the Crusades. I mean, not me, but like Asuka did something wrong when he started the Crusades. If I look at the answers of what I've done, of what my personal history is, my personal history being basically for him the world's history, since he's basically engineered so much stuff going on. And what else happens in history? What is in the history that I could possibly find? Maybe something about his master, Happy Chaos. Maybe there's some answers there. Who knows? Puts more emphasis on reality. Reality. The reality of truth. Reality of truth. Like, reality. Like, there is this notion that, okay, putting on the notion of reality over truth. That there is this idea that, no, I'm focusing more on reality than actually necessarily truth. The reality of truth. Yeah, we don't have the notion of truth of reality, but, or more so just that there's this, where reality and truth are fundamentally connected as opposed to separate things.
What should we accept the reality of truth?
Like, now we have that little high note basically going for, hey, I'm arising, I'm ascending, I am becoming more and more of a god. Look at me. It's like, again, I'm not warmed up, but yeah, that basically idea. So now we have the gospel-esque part starting. This sounds more like a sermon now, right? But now it's sort of like it's something about it's still not right. Like, is it good or is it bad? Now it's like he's turned from this evil scientist into this church sermon man that he's the angel. Did the sun ever defy fate? Do you recognize me? And it's like he's praying, he's begging, like, please help me now. In a way, he's showing his vulnerabilities. Again, it took him till Guilty Gear Revelator, XR Revelator, to unmask himself. Like, he's been pretty shady. So, do you recognize me?
Does meaning have a meaning?
I just love how that's said. Does meaning have a meaning? In a sense that, like, this is going hardcore. I don't know if this is gospel, as I'm Jewish, so I don't know if it's, like, gospel-y, but it's like, this goes, like, more country-esque, like, really he's, like, you can feel the passion in these notes behind him, like, his humanity is coming back. Now we get good Nietzsche. Words know the morning light. The morning, the sense of the sun. This is all about this figure of the sun that is there. Words know the morning light. So the sense that the morning light. So when we look at the word with the guise of the moon in Zarathustra, that we look at it cold, separate, distant, not in love, not spontaneous. But if I look at things in the morning light, then maybe I'll have a little bit more fun. Maybe I'll have a little more emotion. Maybe I'll be a little bit more me, in a way. Things with the morning, the light of the childishness, the innocence. So again, in the background, it's saying, you know it's right. You know it's there. You know that the morning light is right. But no, it is. It's not true. It is not truth that you divine. As I said, it's reality we have reality, but don't we fundamentally know truth? No, it's not truth that you divine. What is it then? Back to some Nietzsche and Jung again, like love. And about this is going to say the most gospel-y part of it. And love embraces the darkness of the night. Like love Like, again, this was so sounding very hippie, like love, or an Elvis, love. That there's sort of this meaning of this love, as Nietzsche says, as that goes beyond good and evil. That all darkness in this world, morality itself, according to Nietzsche, is a way to actually is a sense of cruelty because it gives us rules of what is right and wrong. When we go beyond morality, we go to the supermodern state, we will be able to be more loving. And this love, as the darkness in ourselves, our shadows, the dark parts of ourselves that we need to accept, that's what is necessary. Love.
Embraces the darkness of the night.
All things as they are. So he's kind of just gone, in a way, a Nietzschean full circle. As he really grown, he's just more affirmed his beliefs. All things as they are. So just a sense of inner contemplation, which is great. All things as they are. The universe is as it is. It is nothing beyond, nothing divine, nothing beyond that. Nothing. This is not truth that you divine. As the universe turn black. Like it was clearly the turned, like it's turned. It turned black. Or is it, again, it has, like, so, but there's something sort of like that, as the universe turned black, like, the universe, as everything is falling apart, the universe turned black when God was taken away from it. There was no more creator, there's no more light. When that happened, does the sun, is the sun the new thing that's going to rebel? Is there something meaning in now the sun? No. Again, a very gospel-y thing over is basically scientific reductionism, but I love it. Do you recognize me? Do you recognize me, whoever you are? Does the world, will you recognize me for my powers, or does it really matter? It doesn't matter if I'm recognized. I don't care. Just see me as a person. Don't see me as a tool. Don't see me as an object. Just see me. Recognize me. Please, come on.
Do you recognize me? Gravity holds all the answers.
Gravity. And Nietzsche says, he talks about gravity. Like, if we look at things, we see that about gravity. Gravity, physics, the laws of the universe, these are what is necessary. This is what is important. Nothing high in my mind, no external essence, just gravity. And yes, as Marco would say, Marco Greenwald, like another channel, the gravity is, yes, the gravity of the situation, the gravity of what I've done, but it's more and more just literally just gravity. It is the notion that gravity itself scientifically has the answers. So we have a material reductionism right here. But we can move on. We can get rid of God and we can have freedom. Or can we? Who knows? It goes back to being, it kind of goes in this circle. It ends with, again, I mean, it sort of, like, you could say as a loop, maybe for the battle theme, but it's a sense of, it goes back into a circle of, it's a little evil again, you know? So has he learned anything, really? Who knows? All right. Yeah, I guess I'll play the end of the song. Get back to tuning. We get back to, okay, now I'm compensing. Now I've meditated on myself. All right. This was the theme that is the reason I was going to do this. Well, it was also the circle. We will get to the circle. But, yeah. Well, we might as well, if we did this, talk about that man's mentor, Happy Chaos. So, Drift is next. Of course it is. This has been David Leibowitz with Philosophy Video Game Philosophy. It seems I sang a little more than I thought I would. Peace. Bye-bye.